Good lord, this is gonna be tough. I don't know how to say this. Hey, Waszystkim Witami double. I don't know, man. I give up. That was supposed to be like, "Hey, welcome to the Shift Gear podcast" in Polish. I have no idea how to say that. There was a lot of like random W's and Y's and stuff, and I don't speak Polish, but I tried. Welcome back to the Shift Gear podcast. Something really, really big happened this week. It has nothing to do with Pokemon. Google Translate added Jamaican patois to their list of translatable languages. And if I had $1 for each man who sent that to me, I'd be a pretty rich guy. I wouldn't have to be here making my $10 a week off Shift Gear. So, have you tried it?
No, I have not tried translating to Jamaican patois.
You should really try it. It's a real classic. It sucks, is basically what I'm trying to say. The
Okay.
thing does not work well. I think a Toronto man can translate to Jamaican
Mm.
patois better than the Google Translate. Anyways, we're back from EUIC. We'll start with this. Ciaran, how was your weekend?
It was good. I mean, my tournament wasn't very good, which we can get into later. But no, London, like it's always nice visiting my family there. Some pub crawling, some pub trivia.
Pub crawling.
Yeah, just good time in.
What was the
London.
trivia? What was the trivia you did last year that you said you were really good at? I forgot what it was.
It was also just pub trivia. But like one of the questions was just like a sports related question that they didn't know, and I got it. So I'm like, all right, I'm not completely dead weight. Because half the questions are like about like British prime ministers or British TV shows. I'm like, guys, like, come on, like change it up when you know I'm coming.
There is like a really big like cultural barrier, I would say,
Yes.
between like North America and Britain. Like people don't really realize it. But it exists. Like there's a lot of things that like so I was asking some dude like, yo, where's the washroom? And he's like, what?
The
I
loo?
was like, do you know? Yeah, like where's the washroom? And the dude's like, you mean toilets? I'm like, no, man, I mean washroom. There's more than just a toilet in the washroom. I don't know, man. Anyways, I'm just trying to fit in. London's always an interesting place. Like, I don't know if you realize like how bad the Canadian dollar is to the British pound. Have you checked your credit card statement?
Bro, I do realize, trust me.
It's bad. It's bad. So all of us who went got absolutely fleeced this weekend, and like we got fleeced in the tournament too, which was no bueno. But such is life. All right, let's go through some of the stuff today. I have in the wrong, which involves myself, which I'll get into. So we will have quite a bit to go over here. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, why don't we start with our runs, Aneil? We'll start with yours because I think it's more eventful than mine. So you made day 2. The great placement, Aneil, of 252nd getting added to your limitless page.
Tragic.
With the Gholdengo. So Gholdengo, we'll get into it a bit more later, but it's like it was the surprise deck of the weekend. Your build was different than the one that like Xander and his group brought. So why don't you start off on how you got to playing Gholdengo, your list, then go through your run a little bit.
Sure. I'd like to preface this by saying I'm not proud of this run by any means whatsoever. I wish this entry was not on my limitless page because 252nd, I might as well have just not been there. But anyways, we'll take it, I guess. Let's start with how we got to Gholdengo. So last week I was debuting the idea that I was going to play something crazy, which I really did have the intention on doing. But unfortunately, Matang Dialga Archaludon did not live up to its its full potential in testing. It was really, really good for a while, and then it kind of came back down to earth. So I did not play that for my event. I have to credit LDF for this one. I was kind of testing Gholdengo for the last couple of weeks, and then LDF kind of pushed me over the edge with it. He said, "Hey, man, like this is just well positioned," and it was true because all the top players played Gholdengo for some reason, which we will go over at some point. But this build specifically kind of designed just to have good matchups and everything. Your Dragapult matchup's really strong with this because you have access to Greninja. Your Gardevoir matchup is way better than than people think, just because you have Monkey Dory Dark and the Jamming Tower, so you have 2 ways of kind of getting rid of Drifloon. You also do pretty good into Miraidon, provided you can evolve. As soon as you evolve your guys up, you're pretty much set. Where you struggle a little bit, you do struggle into Lax quite a bit. There's not a whole lot you can do into Stall. You have a lot of random bench sitters. And you struggle to yourself sometimes. This deck does brick. We played the extra Irida in here compared to some of the 1 Irida lists just to kind of increase the consistency. And we had the 2 stops just to get it at turn 1s. As far as like my run, my opponents, honestly, man, I hit back to back Shift Gear listeners at one point, which I thought was like super dope. Between round, what was it, 6 and 10, was all people when I sat down. They're like, "Yo, shift gear." So shout out all you guys, man. This thing has spread a lot farther than I ever thought it would. So it's been pretty cool. I hit 2 Snorlaxes, which was why my run ended up being a little bit lame. I thought I was in a position where I could have honestly top 8 this tournament, had a few things gone a little bit better for me. Um, but yeah, no, I thought the lack of sleep definitely caught up to me in round 9. For those who don't know, I stayed up the night before to watch the Canada game between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. And then I got up and it was a little, oh, there you go. I didn't even know this was a thing you could do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Yeah, so I was up, and the lack of sleep caught up to me in round 9. I was playing against Andres, great friend of the pod, which was hilarious, Ciaran, because we were like chilling with him in round 3, right? And then I hit him in round 9.
This is Pokey Hive for people who don't know him by his full name.
Pokey Hive. Yep. And so I hit him in round 9 after taking the tie to Shift Gear listener Bartos. We were in like game 3 with like, I don't know, 7 minutes left, and he's like, "Yeah, you want to just draw?" And I was like, "Yeah, you listen to Shift Gear, you're good." So we were locked at the ID, and then in round 9, I was playing against Drago, and I was basically, it was game 3, turn 3. He'd passed, he itchy pawed me. There's no way for him to win. It was a draw unless I found a way to win the game. I had 30 cards in deck. I had a boss in my deck, and I needed boss to win. And my stupid ass, man, I played a nest ball. And I knew there was nothing in my deck. I just played a nest ball to go look through my deck just to make sure the boss was there. And I got a DPL because he itchy pawed me the turn before and I forgot. So that's where that was like the single-handed dumbest thing I've ever done in a Pokemon tournament. And that's where the lack of sleep really, really caught up to me. And I think if I went back in time, I don't even know. Like, I don't know, man. I just have no explanation.
I think you could have argued not to get a DPL because they've changed it now that if you search your deck enough times, they de-escalate now.
I did argue it. I did appeal, but to no avail.
Tough. I mean, he also didn't catch you playing that nest ball, so I feel like that could go into the argument. But I mean,
and there's also a judge right next to me.
Yeah, come on. All right.
At the end of the day,
that's L's for everybody, but at the end of the day, that's your fault the most. So I guess
100%. My responsibility. I was just tired. I didn't know what I was doing, and I lost myself the game. So it kind of put me in a bad track for the next day. I hit Snorlax starting the first game, and that just obviously doesn't go well. Took a tie into round 11, which I was one prize card away from winning again. And one thing that people don't realize about Gholdengo is that Badoo late game is really, really strong, right? So I was at, my opponent was at 5 prizes. I was at 1. I was, again, game 3, turn 3, and I wasn't able to finish it out because he just itchy pawed me out of all my energies. So took a tie there, took a win, and then ID'd the last one just to get in for top 256. Nothing too crazy about the run. I think with Gholdengo, you have to be careful with the Badoo shenanigans, as I said. I think it was the right call for the tournament. I have no regrets on what I played or anything in the list. I think the list is pretty much perfect for anyone wanting to take it to League Cups or anything. But I definitely think the meta kind of shifts out of its favor going forward, and like we'll kind of get into this, but that was my run.
Wait, did you lose to a Gouging Fire?
I did lose to Gouging Fire.
That's funny.
Brandon Bond. He's a sick guy, but it does hit me for weakness, unfortunately.
Nice.
Not a bunch I could do about that.
I know he normally plays Lugia, so it's kind of funny that he played Gouging Fire.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Nice. Yeah, solid run. Mine's a lot less exciting. I like dropped at some point. Let me see.
Did you?
Yeah. Here. Okay. So, I started 2-0, and then I faced Lost Box, and like game 1, I went first. Easy game. Game 2, he got like turn 2 hands. I lost. Game 3, my hand was like perfect. It was like Lugia, start, Archeops, but my only search was like Aroma. So I just needed Tails for Squawk, and I'm just gonna like steamroll him because he didn't play Manaphy, so I just like Water Pawn like and then win. And I flipped heads, and then I had nothing. And then on my next turn, I had to just read the wind, and then I just got donked. I faced the Gardevoir, and like again, like similar thing. Like I just couldn't get set up. The second game was like again, I just needed like I researched, I just needed hands or Water Pawn, and then like I also Aromaed, flipped heads. I lost that one. And round 5, I sit down, and my opponent has a playmat with like all the Regis, and he literally has like a basic deck box, like kind of like these, and it literally just says Regi box in Sharpie. I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like I knew it was that. And he flips over Regigigas, and I'm like, okay, well, like besides Iron Thorns, like this is the hardest thing for Lugia to beat. So I lost that one, and then I mean I played out my next couple. Just I don't know. I don't really need points because like even if I got top 5-12, like it doesn't add anything. So I took some wins, and I faced my friend in round 8, so I just like gave him the win because he needed the points, and then I didn't really feel like playing round 9, so I just dropped him there. So very uneventful tournament for me. Very Lugia type of tournament. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Like one flip just changes the whole trajectory of a tournament.
Yeah, sometimes it just goes that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just hope it doesn't happen at an IC.
Yeah. So, I finished ahead of Tanya, which is nice. She was saying that she was going to go shift gear this weekend, but didn't happen.
If she finished ahead of you?
No, she got day 2.
Oh, okay.
I saw her and Julian in the airport. They're on my flight on the way to London.
Speaking of flights, I wanna talk about that real quick. So on my way back, I got absolutely screwed, and I won't go through the details. It doesn't really matter. I ended up spending 7 hours at an airport and then getting home 9 hours too late. But what I want to say is my flight experience with Air Canada was so bad that I got a Flair Airlines email this morning, and I actually opened it. That's how bad my experience was.
Whoa.
I am willing to fly Flair.
No.
And for those of you who don't know in the States,
I hate
Flair is like our it's the worst. It's our Spirit Airlines, basically. It is just the worst. But I got sent on British Airways on the way back. They didn't have Wi-Fi. There was no like chargers in the seats. It was just miserable. So you're never safe is the moral of the story.
Nice. Yeah.
It was London Fashion Week. I think that was part of the reason why it was so hard to get a flight.
Okay. Oh. Except just looking here.
Want to throw them in there.
Nice. Canada, we didn't do that well this tournament, actually. We didn't even have anyone make top 32.
No, we were pretty bad.
It's okay. We won the hockey game. That's all that matters, right?
That's why I'm wearing this, baby. That's why I took a loss in round 9 because Canada won the hockey game. My buddy was like sleeping in the bed with me, and it took everything in my body. The dude was passed asleep out like a log. Took everything in my body to not scream as soon as McDavid put that shot in the back of the net. Like I was sitting there and I was like, but I couldn't react. It was painful. Yeah. And then LDF is asleep on the couch in the family room, so I can't go in there and cheer either. But I was like, oh man, that was hype. That was super hype.
Yeah, so that was definitely a very important game for Canada to win, for pride, for a lot of reasons.
That was probably the most politically charged U.S.-Canada game
100%.
of our lifetime.
So
yeah,
it felt like we were just destined to win, but it was nerve-wracking for a bit there. I was like, if we lose this one, no, Canada definitely needed a win with what's going on.
I know you don't watch a ton of hockey, but in hockey, goalies are absolutely at the forefront in the playoffs, right? You need a hot goalie to go
a hot goalie
is
how you win.
Right. And the Americans have the best goalie in the world, by a country mile in their net. And so when I went to OT, I'm like, this is not good. This is really not good.
But our boy clutched up.
Our boy clutched up, and I think history is also so important, right? I think American, and it's kind of like the Leafs thing. It's kind of like the Cubs thing, where you're not used to winning, and so there's this thought in the back of your head where you're always nervous no matter how good your team is. And the amount of American fans I saw on my timeline tripping out going into OT when I thought, hey, Canada's on the back foot. America is just going to goalie us and they're going to win the game. It's kind of crazy how that works. Sports psychology is so weird in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, when your captain's Austin Matthews, he just doesn't have the dog in him, so I'm like, all right,
Yo, relax.
Once we get there.
Relax, bro. Relax. The first question the media asked Matthews when he got back to Toronto is, do you regret not back checking on McDavid?
Good, bro.
And dude, if I was him, I would just punch the reporter out. I would have just socked him.
He should have played better. He choked. That's the biggest game of his career.
He did not choke. He did not choke.
Bro, he left the guy
bro.
Did
you see
open.
The first two chances? Did you see the first two chances he had? He should have scored both of them. And then on an icing, he had a 1:07 shift. And he didn't track the best player in the world into the slot when the puck was down low.
He just missed 2 shots and didn't track the best player.
No, he didn't miss 2 shots. He got robbed on 2 shots.
Okay, so he missed.
Binnington went on his head, bro.
If you're him,
McDavid's shot was worse than both of those shots.
Doesn't matter. If you're him, you find a way to make it happen.
That's so results oriented.
Doesn't matter. Austin Matthews choker. And I love to see
True basketball fan not acknowledging the goalie. It's crazy.
All right,
crazy.
Let's go back to analyzing the rest of the results here and kind of talk about what we're thinking going forward. Before we get to Masters, Aneil, I have to give a big shout out to the juniors division. Canada got represented here. Adrian got top 8. Big shout out to Adrian.
Shout out Adrian.
Bro, this kid's on fire. This is his 3rd major top cut in a row. He got top 4 Louisville, 2nd Toronto, top 8 EUIC.
Truly built different.
Built it, and he did it with the no Chinchino Lugia as well.
Mm.
So this is pretty cool. Probably one of the highest placements for this deck. So, yeah, he had enough. It was so sad. I was watching his top 8 game with his dad, and like game 3, he went first in mirror, and like he went to flip, and he didn't pick his deck up. I'm like, oh, that was definitely a Mesagoza Tails. And he missed.
Wait, what? Sorry, he. Oh,
Yeah.
you were like watching from afar, so you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I see.
So
okay.
I was like, oh, that's tough. But yeah, no.
That's unfortunate.
Super hype. Good job, Adrian, representing Canada. Because the Masters, we definitely didn't. I think seniors we had. I think we had Canada as well. Yeah, Tristan. Tristan always makes top cut though. The kids were.
He's also built different.
He is also built different. And also Gabriel Fernandez built different. Another ICW. Like, this kid's win rate has to be like 80% plus on the ICs he's played.
Absolute like masterclass in the finals too. He played it so well.
Yeah,
it's one of the few games that I've actually watched.
So I gotta go watch. So that's awesome to see. I think this is last year in senior, so I think next year we're gonna get to see him make the jump, and we'll see how he does the Masters. I'm sure he'll do well.
And what I like about Gabriel Fernandez as well is like he just seems like he's like playing the finals. He's just laid back. He's just chill. He's not one of those like top players. It's just super like uptight and like kind of like sweaty about the game. It seems like he was just having fun, and I love that. I rate that energy.
Well, I think he just knows he's gonna win, so he's just like, all right.
It was looking kind of dodgy. I don't know if he knew, but
or he's just confident.
Just confident.
His brother also made top 8 Masters. There's a crazy weekend for the Fernandez brothers. But we'll start at the top, Aneil, with Ryuki Okada. So I think Ryuki's the guy who won he won Dortmund with Dragapult. So
Ryuki's such a cool guy, man. Do you know the story of me and Ryuki? I don't know if you know that.
No.
Maybe I've never told it. I played him at NEIC in 2022.
Oh, really?
And we held up the tournament for an hour, me and him, collectively.
By doing what?
It was round 7. We both needed to win or we were eliminated for day 2. And he was playing Gardevoir with water energies to like you shining Arcana them onto Greninja to like catch your opponents off guard. And I was playing Lost Tina, and something happened with like a Temple of Sinnoh, and I played a Jet Energy or something. Like there's like a language barrier issue. But the entire time, like we were just chopping it up. We didn't speak the same language, but like the vibes were immaculate. We were just joking around, having fun. And basically, I did something illegal, and then the following turn, he did something illegal. And it was our game 3, and it was like so irreversible that we needed 2 translators, 2 judges. Like it was just going back and forth. And I remember Nick Moffitt was standing behind me the entire time. And after I got up, he was like, "Bro, like what the hell was that?" Because we held up the tournament legitimately for 45 minutes.
What was the
just
conclusion?
Us alone. The conclusion was they fixed the game state after like 14 different translations and back and forths, and we were able to continue. And then I won the game at the end. And I was able to get into day 2.
That's funny.
Yeah. But he was a fantastic player, sick deck, super cool guy, and we followed each other after on Twitter. And I don't know, it's all love for me with that guy, man. He's so cool.
Bro, what's water energy and Gardevoir is like the most Japanese deck I've ever heard in my life.
You don't understand the excitement, or the surprise that I had in the first game when I lost on my Manaphy, and he started attacking with Greninja. I'm like, bro, what is this? It was insane.
Bro, I would be like tilted off the face of the earth if my opponent like hit 2 energies off Arcana and then attached to Greninja. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. He sniped all my comfies off the board. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane.
Nice. Well, he took it down with Klawf, which I think we were talking about like last week. We said we actually think is in a decently positioned spot. And it did very well, as we'll go through the rest of the top 32. His list, I think, had the big adaptation was he played Monkey Dory. Which, I mean, he won, obviously, but I don't know, is this like, I guess is that a Badoo? It's like to heal your Badoo when it's poison type of thing, but it's like, how am I drawing the dark energy? Am I just Forest Seal Stoning for the dark, I guess?
If you have to.
Yeah, and then, I mean, I saw him beat Lucas in one of the Swiss rounds by like Monkey Dorying out of nowhere. I don't know if Lucas knew he played Monkey Dory. It's like, why would you assume that this deck plays
I can't really blame him if he didn't.
Yeah, and then like other than that, like he only played 3 Area 0, which I'm not crazy about. I mean, I feel like that's such an important card for the deck. I'd probably want to play more. Only 2 Arven, so I think it definitely you can see like the Japanese flair on this list where they play lower counts of some of the consistency cards to play text like the Monkey Dory. But yeah, a really solid weekend for him. I think Gardevoir is this deck's worst matchup, and Gardevoir actually had a fairly poor tournament. And then like Lugia didn't do that well either. So when your two worst matchups weren't really hanging out at the top tables, I feel like he probably just hit a lot of good stuff on the way to the top. So we can actually kind of look at his match here actually. Yeah.
Yep.
Like yeah, he hit 0 Gardevoir the whole
Look at
tournament.
that.
So
Damn. It's a lot of Dengo too.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
I think
a very good
Dango is
matchup.
definitely a good matchup, you know? Like, you just Badoo them with the poison, with the Mochi, and then they're going to struggle. Because they have to keep chaining energies or, like, super retrievals, like, over and over and over again. So, I think
Dude,
just a
I
really
want
good
to
meta
say as
call.
well. Yes, sorry. I want to say as well, like Dengo was such like a random. We'll get into this when we go to the Dengo decks, but it's so crazy to me. Like just looking at this, like, can you imagine going to a tournament and be like, yeah, I'm gonna hit 5 Dengos going into that tournament? Like, you never would have thought about that. It's just so crazy how everyone was kind of on the same wavelength without being on the same wavelength. And this guy Ryuki made like the best meta call like ever by
Yeah.
accident probably because he probably didn't anticipate all this Dengo either, but he beats all of the top decks besides Gardevoir basically, right?
Yeah. I think so. And I assume most of the Japanese... Oh, no, they didn't. I'm sure he had a group that played this deck with him.
51 Japanese players. That's really surprising.
Yeah, they love coming for the... I mean, we're going to their tournaments now, so...
Yeah. But like what benefit does it have to them, right? Like it
they just
doesn't
like playing them,
isn't
I
it
think.
outside their circuit?
Well, it's like when Torrid and Rahul and them went, and Fabian went to the Champions League. What benefit is there to go to that? It's just like cool to play, right?
Yeah. I'm just surprised that 51 people flew from Japan to London, England to play. But that's sick.
I don't know if Japan tournaments have prize money, but maybe they also want the prize money. So he won. I mean, the yen is pretty weak, so 25,000 US. That's a lot of yen.
It's a lot of yen.
So yeah, it looks like all the Japanese players were playing a bunch of other stuff. There's one other Klawf that I won't mention. Okay. Cool. But yeah, really, really cool to see Klawf take down Trapagos. I think this deck was definitely underrated for how good it was. Maybe it was just like players just weren't picking it up right away. I know that now the top players in Merida were playing this deck. I think actually no, we saw one make top 4. I think so.
I think a lot of us saw it. Like everyone saw the potential behind this. Just no one took the time to go into it. I guess,
yeah.
right?
So I guess going forward, where do you think this sits in the metagame? Like, do you think? I know this was on the graphic. I think this was 6th place day 1 at like 5% or something, 4%. Is this going to significantly jump for Vancouver and for Stockholm?
I don't see why it wouldn't. Like I think it's good, man. I think we saw it, right? We all knew it was good going into this, and I think this just proved it is that good. The one thing I look out for, and like we'll talk about this next week when we preview Vancouver, is like I do think after the Miraidon flop, Gardevoir looks a little bit better too, which can be a little bit sketchy for Klawf. But why not, man? Like the deck's so powerful. You win half your games just by donking the other person, as we saw in the finals.
Yeah.
So, super sick deck, and I think this build is really innovative too with the Monkey Dory.
Yep. I'm gonna guess it goes up to maybe like 6 or 7%, and then we start seeing Gardevoir. I mean, I think Gardevoir already was playing Klefki, but like even more Klefki. Maybe Dragapult starts playing Klefki as well.
I mean, some of them already do.
Yeah, because the Klawf deck is really, really weak to Klefki. So maybe we'll see that as an adaptation. So day 2, how much?
Super cool though.
Oh, it only jumped to 5%. Day 2. Gholdengo was the one that had the big jump. Also, can we talk about how like Archaludon was 12%?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I forget what we put it at, but I did not expect double digits Archaludon.
It was not 12%. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I mean, one made top 8, which we'll get to, but yeah, crazy.
I actually thought it converted quite badly. I honestly like. I was a big Archaludon lover.
Well, it converted the same percent as day 1.
Oh wow, it did. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I must have been looking at a different thing. I was a big Archaludon lover, but like going into the tournament, I just didn't see a reason to really play it. It didn't really feel like it had the best matchups, but I guess I was proven wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think too is right. It's like you run this tournament like 100 times, you get like 100 different top 8s, and then we're sitting here talking about other stuff, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, like yeah, but like Klawf here we had so first top 16, so 3 in top 16, and then 2 more down here, and so 5 total in top 32, and it was also 33rd. So yeah, tons of people, and then from different countries as well, different testing groups. We had Brazil here, we have Italy, the Netherlands, the Czech. I think the UK was 33rd. So yeah, like literally a bunch of people just bringing Klawf and then all having success with it. So really, really good weekend for. I don't know if we should call it Klawf, but we'll just say Klawf.
Yeah, it's like barely Klawf anymore.
It's like Badoo Trapagos more than I feel like it's Klawf Trapagos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2nd place, we had Natalie Miller. She got 2nd, so really happy for that. Natalie's a great player, great person.
Friend of the pod, Natalie Miller.
Yeah. So
Natalie.
Her list is really similar to what Brent and Aiden played in Merida. I mean, like, I know Brent and her are friends in the same testing group, so that makes a lot of sense to me. The interesting thing about the way like the Australians have built their list is they don't play TM Evo and they don't play Crispin. They play a much slower build and like they really focus on the Rotom. Whereas I think a lot more people are focused on, you know, maybe having that option in TM Evo, having that Crispin. I have found when I play the deck, Crispin's a little tricky to use because it's like a lot of times I'm using Lumineon early and like it's kind of hard to find Crispin later. But the way they play it is like if you you kind of have to like play slow and then try to win the game like 2 attacks with like Dusknoir against all your aggro matchups, or against the matchups that are slow, like they can't knock out Dragapult, so it's fine. I think the only difference between this and the list from Merida is I think the list of Merida played 2 Dusknoir, 1 Dusclops.
As we go down, we'll see it. I think the list from Merida did really well. There's a lot of people on it.
A lot of people on it. Actually, here, if I click it, it'll tell me.
It's cool.
Oh yeah, tons of people played it from.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one more Lance and one more Iono actually. Where they cut a Turo, I think, maybe? No. Oops. Or they cut an Ultra Ball. And then there must have been something that I can't see right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, pretty standard, like nothing special. Just solid deck, great player, good result. Actually, let's see Natalie's matchups if we go through them real quick. He played.
Why is her name capitalized like that? It's like yelling at us.
I don't know. I don't know why sometimes it says other when I click this, even when you click on people's names.
Oh, Kato, round 6.
Hey, big shout out, Natalie.
There you go.
Doing good work out there.
Kira's #1 op. I can't believe we just like normalized airing out your op for thousands of people to see. Oops.
Well, bro, I think his behavior has made him a lot of people's op. Yeah, but like it seems like also she put on a masterclass beating Snorlax as well, like, you know, showing like how to use Dusknoir to beat that. So it seems like she didn't play anything crazy. I know he was playing Klawf. I don't know what else these people were playing. So yeah, so that's the Dragapult. James Cox also made top 8, playing the Merida list. So he like kind of like favored the second Dusknoir and the 4th Ultra Ball. I mean, so pretty similar, like nothing else crazy. Well, we had Gholdengo. Let's talk about that now. You know, we talked about your Gholdengo, but this Gholdengo, like, look at the finishes here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 finishes for the Gholdengo deck. Also, this deck took Henry Chow as a victim, where he switched off Gardevoir to play this deck, which was, I was gonna say, I feel bad for Henry. I feel so bad for Henry. I'm like, I feel like Henry, you got to stick with your deck. But he tried this one out, and I don't know. I feel like if he played Gardevoir, he probably would have just done well, but. You know what? When you're trying to win tournaments, you swing for the fences. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So hopefully he doesn't have any regrets about that one. But yeah, Neil, this is the Gholdengo deck that I think kind of took the tournament by storm. There's no Palkia in this one, so that's very different from how you were playing it. And then similar to you, it has the Monkey Dory, but they played 2 Dark to make that combo a little easier. They actually played 2 Waters as well to have the option to attack with Greninja. So now I was talking to them. They said when you play a mirror match, what would end up happening is you sit there and you both evolve, right? You don't evolve and you try and power up Greninja, because if you evolve, your opponent gets to go 2-2-2. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to try and Moonlight Shuriken, which I thought was really, really funny. So I don't know if they like literally just thought about that for a mirror, but that was something that came up. And I mean, they played a TM Evo and they played Arvin, which was kind of interesting as well. You know, just to like accelerate the setup a little bit against like decks like the Miraidon. So yeah, super cool take on the deck and like a fantastic meta call for this group.
I mean, like, you need the extra energy anyways, so like you might as well make it a water. It's kind of the way I would think about that too. The other argument you can make is maybe you make it a psychic, just in case you have to hit with Monkey Dory. But like, yeah, you need that what is it, 13th energy? You need that thing anyways. So we had to make it something. Was it 12?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7,
3, 5, 7,
12.
11, 12. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Either way, you can't play 11. Like 11 just feels too low. So the strat I was going for in Mirror is I didn't play any, but we were just gonna sit there and tackle with Gimme Ghoul over and over until someone did something. Because we also play Palkia, so ours was a little bit better into the Mirror. So we were able just to put down Palkia and go crazy on a turn. But the strat I actually used against Snorlax was to sit there with 1 Gimme Ghoul and just use tackle, because there's nothing you can wall it with Snorlax. Everything gets hit somehow. I actually beat the first Snorlax I saw just off of Turoing aggressively and stuff, but that is the strat you go for. So it makes a lot of sense what he was saying there, and it kind of applies to Mirror and Snorlax both. Matt and I were super like LDF, sorry. We were super intrigued by this list when it first came out. Like we discovered it in, like round 2 or round 3. We were still chilling with Grant and some of those guys, and this list is like what I kind of think of this off the surface. I obviously don't know it as well as them, but this list looks better into Miraidon because you just go TM Evo and you protect your guys. But it definitely looks a little bit worse into Dragapult because you don't have the Greninja option as often. And
Well,
into
their idea
Gardevoir as
was they
well.
play double Turo. So like you get hit by a Phantom Dive and you Turo, and like the game's over, you
Yeah,
win. 'Cause,
yeah.
yeah, they just waste an attack.
Which is
Um,
pretty in theory. It is just tough to get the supporter you want with this deck a lot of the time when you
yeah,
need it.
yeah. I guess their idea is like you draw a bunch of cards. Hopefully you get it. They play 2 Pokegear as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their stall matchups like pretty much unwinnable, but I mean like that's not that big of a deal. It's not a very popular deck, so. Yeah,
Yeah.
from talking to them, they seem pretty confident in pretty much all the good decks. I think Xander fell victim to the Dragapult deck, which makes sense. Badu is very annoying for this deck, even with 12 energy. Super cool deck.
Again, late game Badoo, man. And like, the other thing that's that we talk about a little bit on this podcast, like the aesthetic of decks sometimes. This is like the most beautiful deck ever. Like you just look at it, it's just beautiful. I don't know if like I put my list pick out there. I used all like the Heart Soul Silver energies, but some guys were using the terrestrial energies, the ones that were on that page there. Super nice, man. Like no matter what you do with the energy. Sorry, I tweet a lot, so you might have to go down a bit. Yeah,
With
like
the play Pokemon promo ones too.
dude, it's so
Very
beautiful.
nice.
The things you can do with this deck. I saw people using different kinds of energies. There's some E series energies, and like you have the Gholdengos. It's just aesthetically, this deck is just freaking beautiful. So
That is really
I
nice.
understand why a lot of people liked it.
Yeah, Barrage even started out your energies here.
Shout out Virage. I was really excited to play this deck just because I had the alt Gholdengos. I actually owned 7 of them because at one point they were only $30, so I kept
Oh,
buying them.
nice. I'm
Yeah,
trying to see
so
here.
super dope.
Okay, your Palkia V is like bad, and your Monkey Dory could be upgraded. Otherwise, I think everything looks good to me.
I actually owned all of those. I own the Altart Palkia. I own the Altart Monkey. I just didn't want to play them. I just wasn't feeling it.
No. Also, we got to switch the Lysander bosses to Getsis. Otherwise,
To Getsis.
I like the Getsis full arts.
I don't really vibe with Getsis that much.
Oh, really? I like Getsis.
I actually have the Cyrus ones, but for Worlds I was playing 4 boss, and I didn't have 4 Cyrus ones. So Ben Dauberstein had 4 Lysanders, and he just gave them to me, and I kept
Nice.
them ever since.
Yeah, the
We just
Cyrus
traded.
ones I don't like. Those are the worst ones, I think.
I don't know, man. I'm a Cyrus guy. I'm a Gen 4 dude.
Yeah, I don't know. The vibe just doesn't look that good to
I
me.
don't like Lysander's hair, man. It's giving me like
Yeah,
mad
it's like
scientist, which I
weird.
guess is what it's supposed to be, but
I don't know, I think I just like Getsis. I just think aesthetically he looks cool. He's like the most evil villain. I feel like he's just like pure evil.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
there are pros and cons to all of these.
so, anyways, it doesn't matter that much. But yeah,
Discussing nonsense as we usually do.
very aesthetically pleasing deck list from you. I like it.
I've seen some really good ones. Rahul had a really nice one too. If you guys have a chance, go check out Rahul's.
I'll look real quick.
Oh, okay. All right. Or we'll just do it now for you.
Cool.
Chloe's in Wonderland.
Is it? No. Oh, this guy tweets a lot too.
Yeah, he does tweet a lot.
No.
I only tweeted a lot because I had my rare candy problems. That's why I tweeted a lot
Where
this
is this
week.
guy?
I normally don't tweet a lot.
Okay, there we go.
His was really nice,
Oh
too.
yeah, he also has the EUIC, or not EUIC, the Hard Soul Silver Energies, but he doesn't have the hollows like he did.
And Altart Turo and Gold Ultras.
Yeah,
like this
nice.
is pretty baller.
He has the
yeah,
Gets his full. It's okay, like that. Nice.
You get this man's, bro.
Cool. The next deck was we had Duraludon. So we saw a trend where most people were cutting Dialga from Archaludon, but the best placing one did play the Dialga. I mean, I think Dialga does help in a lot of your matchups. Like, it probably helps a lot in Mirror. Helps against random decks like Lugia. I mean, it helps just like every deck. Like, it's like decent to have Dialga. And when you play 2 instead of the 1/1 line, like you can just put 2 Dialgas at once, and then on your penultimate turn, you can kind of guarantee you're gonna get a Dialga off. So yeah, cool to see this deck convert. I think we were talking about it. Like, it's kind of been keeping up in play. I feel like it can be a bit clunky sometimes. But when it gets going, like Dialga has like the most powerful attack in the game. So it just feels like Duraludon, I guess, is just here to stay. It's probably going to be like a 10% deck in like Vancouver and Stockholm now. So a lot of players have seemed to gravitate towards it. They really do enjoy playing the deck. So yeah, I don't have much else to say about this deck.
Yeah, I don't have much on this. Like, it's just a pretty basic Dialga list. I was called out like 8 times over the week by this one guy for not saying the Gardevoir line with Relicanth, so I do apologize to that guy for my analysis of Relicanth.
Nice.
But it is cool to see because you can also do cool things with the Relicanth and the Dialga. Sometimes you can just metal coating if you need to
Get
on
two
Dialga
energies.
V, which is actually a really good attack.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely
this
solid.
deck's yeah, this deck's cool. I agree with you. I like the two Dialga V Star because it gives you the opportunity to kind of spread your Dialgas so that it's not easily targetable. That is one like downfall I found with the deck over time. The Squawk is also super cool because sometimes you have some lackluster turn ones. So I do enjoy the Squawk as well. Cool deck.
Yeah, I think the Squawk makes more sense in this build because if you're going to be benching Dialga anyways, like it's whatever, just have another liability.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, Vinny Fernandez, same deck list as his brother Gabriel. They played Dragapult without Dusknoir, and this is what Torrid played as well. Really interesting build. You even have stuff like the Blood Moon in here, like Defiance Vest, Unfair Stamp, Lost City. So I'd have to play some more games to familiarize myself with this build. But it's just cool to see like innovation happening, right? Like an archetype that we all thought was solved. I'm just seeing good players iterate on it, and like I mean, top 8 Masters and winning seniors. It's hard to argue with that. And I think Tori got top 32 as well, or something like that.
Tords was like a little bit different, but yeah,
different,
same
concept.
concept.
Right? Yeah.
I played a bit with this. It's a lot harder to play, is what I'll say. Like you have to wait a lot longer to get into the game, but once you get into the game, you're definitely stronger. So like just different iteration of the same idea, right?
Yeah.
But this one's super cool because you have the Klawf key to slow down Klawf and Rhydon, and then you have the bear since you don't play Sparkling Crystal, you only play one Crispin. So sometimes you need the bear just to close out the game. But like yeah, super cool build, and I really do like the way they kind of approach this.
Yeah, no rare candy either, right? So the double Badoo, so you're
No
like
candy.
you're Badooing at your first 2 turns pretty much. If you
Yeah.
go second or like the first your second turn.
No Evo, no rare candy. You're attacking turn 3 at very best, right?
So it's a very comeback centered deck with the Defiance and the
Yes.
Unfair Stamp and all that. Super, super cool. Then we had a pair of Snorlaxes make top 8. I think I was kind of high on Snorlax last week. I thought it was in a good spot. I think we saw one like just them get wiped out by stronger players in the top. No, not like stronger than people playing Snorlax, but like strong players just knew how to like play against Snorlax and kind of like took them out. So we have this as like a very like a hybrid build. We've seen a lot of people playing like the Snorlax build without Rotom, without Cornerstone, with like the Pokestops. But I think a lot of players put the Temple of Sinnoh back in since Lugia has gone up in meta share, and then if you don't have the Pokestop, you probably need Rotom to draw a bit more cards. But this is a very hybrid build because you still have the 4 boxed orders, so you can kind of use Rotom at the beginning, and then once Rotom goes down or you need to penny it or whatever, you can just transition to playing it without. So the Cornerstone also completely walls Gholdengo, like the one that doesn't have Palkia. So that's also pretty funny. Yeah, this is Snorlax. Then there's another one as well, and then this one was way different. Using the Milotic, the one that stops Pokemon in play from going into your opponent's hand. So this basically just blocks Turo and Penny. So against decks like Gardevoir, for example, like if you like get their Greninja or something, like they can never Turo or the energy gets stuck. Same against Dragapult. The Diancie was in here to knock out stuff against Lugia, like the Chinchino, for example. Enriching Energy was the Ace spec, which was kind of interesting. There's no Pidgeot V, because I remember Cyrus was playing a build with the Pidgeot V and the Enriching Energy, so like you can attach, shuffle it back, do it again. So just like 2 wildly different takes on Snorlax. And the Milotic I think was actually really strong, just because a lot of the decks kind of rely on Turo to beat Snorlax, and if you shut that off, kind of hard.
This one's so scary because you never like like the strat I was saying, like how I just stood behind Gimmighoul and used Tackle. Like you can't even do that with this build because they threaten Diancie. It's kind of terrifying when Snorlax can also attack. I will say, and I don't think I'm in the minority by saying this, I am really excited for this card to rotate. I think I'm over the Snorlax stuff now.
Yeah, I think maybe I've always played decks that are pretty good against Snorlax / Chien-Pao, so yeah. I've been fine when I ever see Snorlax across from me, but yeah, I think a lot of players. But the next format has the Wall Stall deck, so
yes. But like I think that's a little bit more intuitive than Snorlax.
Yes, because it attacks at least.
Yeah, like you have your hate for Iron Thorns just because it's not really like intuitive or complex, and like Snorlax does take skill to play. Don't get me wrong in saying this. I just don't like the effect it has. And I don't like the way that games go with it. Like you're just sitting there counter catching stuff. Like it's not that fun. Walls, you're attacking, you're doing stuff, right? Like I can respect that a little more.
Yeah. So that's the top 8. We won't spend as much time on the rest of the decks, but there were some cool ones. Oscar Madsen just finished outside the top 8 with the Dragapult Charizard deck. I know this is a deck he hyped up a little bit heading into the tournament. I know he has his like Metapie group where he was posting this and all that. Yeah, pretty cool. He played the unfair stamp because I know he was playing the Heroes Cape for a while. Maybe deciding, you know what, my Lugia matchup's like still not that good, or like it's not that popular, so we don't really need the cape for the stamp. Yeah, I mean Dragapult and Charizard are both just solid Pokemon. When you combine them, you make a pretty solid deck. Yes,
Yeah.
you lead with the Dragapult, then when you're ready in the late game, you pivot to the Charizard. Charizard's pretty good against Miraidon, right? Like they really don't have a good way to deal with it, so that's kind of your answer there. So yeah, really cool deck. I haven't played enough games to be like educated enough to like give my full opinions. But like cool to see. I think a lot of innovation of this tournament do well.
Yeah, and Oscar is a fantastic deck builder.
Yep.
He was the one like kind of behind Jet Polk too, and super cool deck builder. Like he posts this stuff all the time on his Metafy page, which is like insane. It's so cool. You have access to all this like cool stuff if you just subscribe to his page. And I mean, I don't post anything on Metafy anymore. I know you do, Ciaran, a lot, but I always think there's value to getting information from other people. Like those guides and stuff are all really helpful. So you can kind of see here that he was giving out this list, or I don't know, something close to it, I'm sure, and he went ahead and did well with it. So there is value to this stuff, guys.
Yeah, I mean we've been talking about this for a while, but it's like people now just give out their list before tournaments because like the tournaments are so big, like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah, no
Corin
one
gives out
cares.
his list, like Bradner gives out his list, like Oscar gives out his list. I always give out my list, like when there's 3,000 people, like no one's gonna attack for like one specific person.
For
So
one dude.
yeah, most if you pick your favorite top player, they'll probably have somewhere where you can just find their list going to a tournament if you want it. The other surprise was Grant Manley got top 16 with Lost Box. I don't know if you saw his tweet, Aneil. There was a lot of Mickey Mouse allegations since he didn't play against Dragapult or Gardevoir, and then I saw like Hedrick and Kus, all those guys were clowning him for not playing Pokestop.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, Grant said he thought his deck was broken. So, I mean, Artisan instead of Pokestop, I don't know how I feel about that. That's definitely in response to Bidoof, right? Like, it makes it so you can get your Cram right away. But I feel like this build is, like, insanely weak to Klefki. Like, you need the Pokestop all the time to, like, dig a little bit more. He only played one Vacuum, so I guess it's a bit of a slower build. He had the Gigas, which was nice into Dragapult, I guess. Then the rest is all just normal Lost Box stuff, like Bez. Actually played Crispin as well. Crispin doesn't seem that good to me, but I guess it's kind of like playing a fourth Mirage Gate, or a fifth Mirage Gate.
The fifth, yeah.
Because, like, I mean, like, Iron Hands takes 2 gates, Regigigas takes 2 gates. So, yeah, Crispin, I guess, can kind of just, like, take the place of 1 gate in that turn you need it. So, it could be a lot of times just, like, Colressing, hoping for gates. So, I guess Crispin kind of does that as well. And then he plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of energies. So, combos really well.
I haven't played Lost Box in a while, but when I was playing Lost Tina a little bit, like Crispin was one of my favorite cards in that deck. You played 2 of them just because like you're able to basically be Mirage Gate before Mirage Gate's even online sometimes, right? Like you can just accelerate the game by doing that. And when one of your main attackers is Pikachu, you literally just need energy plus Crispin. You're hitting 300 without even having 7 in Lost Zone. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I think Lost Box, I think its position in the metagame is getting slightly better. Like if decks like Archaludon and Gholdengo are going to be popular, like Pikachu like destroys those decks, right? Those decks just don't have an answer to Pikachu. And then if your Dragapult matchup, if you can get it to be 50-50, like Gardevoir, I still think is going to be a bad matchup, no matter what you do. But I mean, Lugia is a pretty decent matchup if they don't play Wellspring, I guess. Even if they do, it's still fine. So maybe Lost Box got written off a bit too soon. I'm not saying this is jumping back to tier 1 or anything, but I definitely think it's in a better spot than it was at the start of the prismatic format.
Yeah, Pikachu is such like an untapped card. Like I'm pretty sure Cologne's rotating too, so it probably only gets better.
Yeah, I mean I know the Wellspring Toolbox deck did well, like the one that Tord played at the Champions League, and they play that. So we had a little bit of a resurgence of Regidrago. So we had Pokehive here on Dress, and then we had Thomas from France, or Thomas, I guess, he's from France, playing Drago. I mean, I said last week, I don't know why this deck is completely gone off the face of the earth. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's definitely solid still, right? And yeah, I think it showed that. 2 placements in the top 32. It's definitely weaker than it was before. But it's still a super solid deck. And I think the adaptation we saw here was the Latios. I think the Latios gives you a lot more maneuverability around your opponent's playing Bidoof. They can't really just trap a Drago or like something. And if you want to get your Bidoof on the first turn, Latios makes it so you don't have to waste energy. Or if you start Drago, you don't need to draw your 1 copy of Switch. Which, actually, this build didn't even play Switch. It played double Cologne. I don't know how I feel about a double clone. I don't really know what we're cloning in this format besides like stall cards, but because Manaphy is like way down in play, right? So it's
yeah, but like I guess the idea with like Latias is like, what do you really need switch for? Probably Snorlax, which Cologne basically gives you a switch.
yeah.
And then like you're not really often moving V stars. And what I was noticing, so if you go to Andres's list, which is actually like no disrespect to our boy Thomas, but Andres's list is super cool.
Thomas.
Thomas, it's got to be Thomas because it's French.
With a B, what?
Right? Wait, what? There's a B?
No, why are you adding a B?
I'm not adding a B. It's Thomas. S is silent.
No, I think it's Thomas.
But... I don't know, man. Anyways,
if you listen to this podcast and you're French, let us know how you pronounce that name.
Please, we need the clarification. So he played Radiant Alakazam, which made it even cooler.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff you can do with that card. So Radiant Alakazam and like Latias have a lot of synergy as well because you don't have to worry about that thing getting stuck inactive. So what he was doing a lot is he would just pivot into Badoo and then turn 2 you can go Trifrost, right? Like that's pretty good. So his list was super cool. I agree with you. I don't think Drago should be written off nearly as much as it is. But the surprise on my face when he dropped down an Alakazam and moved some damage counters around, it was not fun.
But what was the Alakazam for? What's the main idea behind it?
Like to use like Phantom Dive, right? And you can move your Badoo damage to aid Phantom Dive.
Oh, I see. So you do 10 and you move it to whatever, then bam. Okay.
Well, there are like very few situations, I think, in very few decks that wouldn't benefit from having like an Alakazam in their deck, right? Like
it is,
only the one-shot decks.
If I'm benching Latias and Badoo, right? That's already taking up 2 bench spots. So if I have 2 Drago, 2 Ogerpon, I don't have any bench spots left. But I guess Badoo is
there's a lot of like. Well, the thing is now, like with Badoo, there's just a lot of like junk damage everywhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just sprinkling 10 all over the place. So there's a lot of like maneuverability with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean Razard's a pretty strong card, so like not playing that seems a bit tough to me. But I mean, obviously, did well. So.
Especially with the Latias too, because you know no longer have to worry about starting it. Which is kind of half the problem with it.
Yeah. Well, I think otherwise nothing crazy. We saw the first Gardevoir was 18th, top 32. Gardevoir did not have the best tournament. And I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, because I feel like Miraidon was like not that prevalent at the top. It feels like most Gardevoir lists were ready for Miraidon. Like Sebastian's list, for example, it's pretty vanilla, but like it has the Klawf key and like the Mawile Tomb. He lost his win in, so we could have had one there. The Adam Hawkins, what his list was like. Okay, this is also a pretty similar list with a Devo.
My boy played Adam Hawkins, and he told me he had a 4-digit pop ID.
Yeah, I know he's been playing a long time.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, and then the other thing was Miraidon, the very first one, shows up at 26th. Miraidon completely flopped this tournament as well. You love to see it, Aneil. So
you do. You truly do.
I mean, I think this is just a case of like Miraidon going to this tournament. Like, it just had a target on its back, right? And I think we talked about it like last week. Is like Miraidon's matchup spread is very concentrated towards the most popular decks. So if the decks like that are popular start teching for you, like instead of going from insanely favorable matchups, you get it like maybe slightly favored or even, and you're pretty bad against like a wide spread of the rest of the meta. Like if you face random stuff like Raging Bolt, that's not good. You face stuff like Klawf, you're slightly unfavored, right? So I just think Miraidon, it was just like one of those things where it's hard to get through 12 rounds of a tournament and just hit all good matchups. Since your deck is quite linear, it's hard to like kind of outplay some of these matchups.
Yeah, especially when you're surrounded by the Gholdengo upheaval.
Yes,
that
right?
Doesn't help either.
So, yeah, like I just think it's one of those things where people are ready for Miraidon. Now, heading to Vancouver and Stockholm, maybe people start disrespecting it again. It can have a good tournament. But we'll talk about it too. Is like Lugia, like really like didn't do that well this tournament. I think it'll continue to be on like the downswing. That's another one of your best matchups. It's just kind of like going away a little bit. So, it kind of reminds me of the what is the set called again? Surging Sparks meta, where I had to look at the pack on my desk. Where Landon won the first regional with Miraidon. It was a Miraidon mirror match. Like Miraidon kind of like fell off after that. So I think we might be heading towards that a little bit in this meta, where it's like people might forget about the deck and then it like resurges or whatever. But yeah, I just think it was
we'll see.
Already. So we had a Gouging Fire top 32. That's kind of hype. So Gouging Fire has just been doing really well lately. So
it's just good, man.
Yeah,
deck's just good. Like I don't think there's much else to say about it. It just goes boom.
Yeah, it's a solid. I think definitely solid tier 2 deck here. That's putting up results. Otherwise, the first Lugia is it at 41st? Wow. Yeah, Sergio.
Wild.
Shout out Sergio from Canada. Yeah, I was talking to him actually on the Thursday. I think he played one card off my Marital list. Yeah, he cut Drapion for Thornton. Yeah. I think Lugia was like finely positioned for this tournament. Like if I look at the top 8, like these are all pretty good matchups. Obviously you have to get the top 8 to face those, but I think maybe like now Lugia as a response, like if Gholdengo becomes popular and like Archaludon's getting this popular, like maybe we'll see people shift back to 2-2. That's something I'm definitely considering. If Miraidon goes down and play, that'd be really nice. Gardevoir could go down and play a little bit. I don't expect to go down and play like a crazy amount. Like you can maybe consider like not having to play Drapion, which I guess Sergio didn't play Drapion. But yeah, I guess Lugia just had a hard time this weekend. Like there was still a decent amount of Miraidon. And then I guess if everyone's playing like the 1-1 list, like the Archaludon matchup's probably like 50-50 instead of like favored. So yeah, definitely a tough tournament for Lugia. But you know that every time Lugia does poorly, that means like people are more likely to take Sinnoh out, take Spiritomb out, Miraidon go down. So hopefully, Neil, that's good for me in Vancouver if I run Lugia one more time.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you're good to go. All right. So if we're done with that, I want to do my "Am I in the wrong?" real quick.
Oh wait, actually, Neil, before you do it, can I go first?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I think you're gonna enjoy my "Am I in the wrong?"
Okay.
Actually, was there any other decks we need to talk about? Like, not really, right?
No, I think it's once you get down below like 100, I just don't really care anymore.
Nice. Okay, Neil, are you ready for my "Am I in the wrong?" that was sent in?
Absolutely.
Okay, this weekend I attended EUIC, my second major event after a regional last month. In round 7, this is where this occurred. I had a really fun set with my opponent, and after game 2 while we were chatting, I forgot to flip my V-Star marker over.
I think I know where this came from.
Yeah. Game 3, and
I might have told him to do this.
Game 3 was super close and very intense. In the pet ultimate turn, I play Luminion down to search Iono, attach Forest Sealstone, and play Iono. After Iono, I attack to end my turn. My opponent plays out their turn and passes back over to me. I go to use my Forest Sealstone, and uh-oh, my marker is the wrong way around. I ask my opponent if they're happy for me to use my V-Star power anyways. And while they agree that I probably didn't use my V-Star that game, they're not sure, and since it's so tight, they don't feel happy for me to use it. I agree since it was my own fault. Without the V-Star, I can't piece together my 6 price turn, and they win immediately afterwards. Was I in the wrong to want to use my V-Star power despite my mistake during setup? Were they in the wrong for refusing?
Can I add a thing to this?
Yes.
Absolutely, he is not in the wrong for wanting to do that. That's like, so let me give some background to this. For context, guys, this is me on the other side.
I cut out the part, but it says this. One sec. He said in round 7, I was paired to one of the hosts of my favorite podcast. At the end, he said, "Yes, love the podcast." Blah blah. But I cut that out obviously when I was telling you the story.
And as you can tell by the conclusion of the story, it ended on good terms. Like we were super cool about it at the end. So basically, he had a Pokestop early in the game that discarded a Turo, or so. Like we think it discarded a Turo. I was 89 to 90 to 91% sure he didn't use it. And we like established after the game, which made me feel a lot better, that he didn't have enough damage on the board to wipe me anyways. So I was gonna win either way, thank God, because I would have felt even worse had that not been the case. But I was just in a situation where I have a bad memory. And like I think everyone here knows this. I don't have a good memory, and I didn't remember if he'd used it that game or not for sure. And like I was obviously tired and it was late in the game, so I didn't know for sure. And we had a judge next to us, and what I was hoping would happen is I asked the judge, I'm like, hey, is there like a protocol for this? Like I was hoping the judge would be like, okay, this is the protocol, this is what we'll do, and like we'll solve this, so I didn't have to be like yes or no. I didn't want to be the bad guy. But at the end of it, I just couldn't 100% verify in my mind if he'd used it or not. I just genuinely didn't remember. And he was a trustworthy guy. I 100% trusted what he was saying and stuff. I just didn't know for sure if maybe he was misremembering or whatever it was. I knew his intentions were 100% pure. I think at the end of it, I sat back at the table at the end and I just told him, I was like, dude, I feel so rotten. Like that's not me. I don't do stuff like that. Especially not to shark someone in that pivotal of a moment. I just couldn't confirm 100% that he didn't use it. And what I ended up doing is we ended up working it out. And like, again, thank God we realized that it didn't matter anyways, so I didn't feel as bad about it. But I felt bad legitimate for the rest of the day. Like I had a hole in my stomach. I was like, did I Grinch this guy? Like I feel so bad because I normally don't care. Like I let people take things back. I don't really care. I don't know. What do you think? And you're allowed to disagree with me. If you think I'm a
It's like a tough one because like if you don't know, like it's kind of his fault for not flipping it over. Like, normally what I do when it's game 2, I just flip my opponent's V-Star marker over for them if I notice they didn't flip it over.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice.
I'm not. I'd have to check with a judge or like Raph or someone like to ask. But like, I think what normally happens in a he said she says, they literally ask both players to like describe the whole game, and then like if someone's like really like good at recollecting what happened, like you can probably deduce if they V-Starred or not. So that might have been the protocol. But yeah, I mean, like if like I feel like if your opponent was like adamant that they didn't use their V-Star power, like, and you weren't sure, I feel like the judge would probably, or I would lean towards like they should probably be able to V-Star power. But if it was both like murky, where you're both not sure, then it becomes one of those things where it's like, okay, well, like that's more your opponent's fault. Because I'm like, bro, like you gotta flip over that V-Star power or V-Star marker.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
He was adamant that he didn't use it. He was very confident he didn't use it. But he was also like super cool about it. He was like, "Hey man, like no pressure on this. You don't have to let me use this."
Well, was
and
that
I
what
was
the
hoping
judge?
the
Was
judge...
that what the judge said? The judge just said it's up to you.
Yeah, like I was hoping the judge who was sitting next to me the entire time would step in and be like, "Hey, like this is what we do, or maybe we can help with this." And he's like, he basically didn't say anything. He's just like, "We need to resolve this. We need to get this going." He didn't help us in any way.
What?
So we're sitting there like, what the hell are we supposed to do with this? And again, bless my opponent, man. Super cool guy for that situation.
Well, I mean, like your opponent also could have just like either been like more adamant, or he could have just appealed if you like weren't letting him use it, and then you get the judge. And then the judge actually has to do something.
Yeah.
So
And like if it's a competition of like who remembers better, I lose that one 100% of the time because I didn't remember.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like I guess it's on him at the end of the day. Like if he really wanted to like push it a little bit more, like he could have just appealed, like asked the judge to come over and like make that decision for you guys. So since he didn't do that, like I wouldn't say you're in the. I wouldn't say anyone's really in the wrong. Yeah, this is just again we go back to like it's both players' responsibility to flip over your V-Star marker between games.
I felt terrible. So what I did to hopefully make things right is I got a bucket hat made for him, and I'm sending it. I paid the postage, I paid the bucket hat cost, and I'm sending it to England for him. Just for being a cool guy and as like a I'm sorry for not remembering kind of thing.
Nice. Well, glad there was no hard feelings. Sounds like good on each end. He ended his message off by saying he loves you and Neil in the podcast.
I appreciate him, man. Super cool. Super cool guy. And like, sorry. One thing that I forgot to add is there was like a Pokestop at the beginning of the game, and I saw a Turo in the discard, and I wasn't 100% sure if it came from the Pokestop or not, but that's kind of what added to the confusion of it as well. Because I was like, I remember he hit a bad Pokestop, and I was like, oh, damn, that sucks. But I didn't remember what the 3-card content was, so that's part of the context of the entire thing. But yes, so let me know down below, was I in the wrong? If you say yes, I will not hate you. I actually felt really bad about it the entire time, so I kind of felt like I was in the wrong the entire day.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, it's not nothing else Pokemon related, Neil.
All right, cool. I'll give my weekly shout out that I don't do anymore for like new songs of the week, and this is one you might enjoy because like I'm normally not a big pop guy, but I went through all my release radar stuff. I was kind of bored with everything, and the new Tate McRae album came on. Dude, Ciaran, it bangs, man.
Yeah,
it's actually really really good. Like 2 or 3 of the songs, I was like sitting there, I'm like, yo, this is bumping right now. So go listen to that. That's our Canadian superstar, Calgary's.
I'll go listen.
Probably best export ever. I don't know who else is from Calgary. But yeah, go listen to our Canadian superstar. It's actually pretty good.
Nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you are a listener and you're from Ontario, you're over the age of 18, go vote tomorrow. Do your civic duty.
Do your civic duty.
Yeah, other than that, I have nothing else exciting to say.
Fantastic. All right. I think that's it for us. Let us know down below. Am I in the wrong? Let us know down. We had someone else too, right? Oh, the Thomas thing. Let us know how to pronounce Thomas or Thomas if you're French. Other than that, we'll be back next week with the Vancouver preview video, kind of dissect this a little bit more, maybe get a cool guest on. We'll see kind of where the wind takes us. But a lot of people came up to us this weekend, said they enjoyed the pod. I was shocked with how far this thing has gone out, and I probably should have known by the hate comments we're starting to receive. Like, imagine taking your time to hate on us. We barely have any listeners, or so I thought. So it's growing a little bit. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Comment down below about life. Tell us about your life. And hopefully, actually, I got to show these. They're alive.
The waterlogged jerry candies.
They're alive. They can go join their family in my playset. Hair dried it. Threw some silica gel in there, and they're good to go.
Actually, talking about showing off cards, I forgot. I was supposed to show these a while ago. I keep forgetting. I got these at San Antonio. That's how long I forgot. Okay, one of my students got me this. He's from Seattle. I don't know if you know what this is, Aneil.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, do you know what the Rain City Showcase was?
I don't know what that is.
They had like an exhibition basketball game in Seattle called, and like Pokemon was like the sponsor. And when you went to the game, they gave this card away. And like, I don't know if I can get the focus.
That's sick.
The stamp on the Pikachu is like Pikachu with the basketball.
That's sick.
So that's hype. Love that. And then Andres from Monterrey got me this. It's a Play Pokemon Chien-Pao, but it's in Spanish.
Sick.
So I've been meaning.
Chien-Pao?
I've literally been meaning to like show these off since San Antonio. I always forget, but they're just really cool cards because I don't really collect cards, but stuff like this I think is really cool. So.
Yeah, they're timeless. That's so cool.
So love having
that. That reminds me of the like a lot of people got me the on the ball promos.
Yes,
when they came out,
those are good promos too. Yeah.
Yeah, reminded me of that. That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, all our shoutouts are out of the bag. Yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you so much for y'all for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Peace.